Interconnection of autonomous computer is network. If it is a network of network, then that is internet. We have two kinds of servers. One is non-dedicated server and another one is dedicated server. It is based on a particular distance, but all these tied together in order to make this WAN or a wide area network. When it comes to the WAN, the error rate will be more than this LAN. Everybody, welcome back to the session 2 on chapter 15, that is networking concepts. I am Rohini TS, lecturer, Department of Computer Science, Vidhyaashram Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. In the previous session of this chapter, we had a discussion regarding the introduction part of this one. What do you mean by networking? And also I have discussed regarding network goals. So it includes resource sharing, reliability, cost factors, and that also includes communication medium. And also we had discussed regarding this need of networking or advantages or benefits of having this networking. Then we got to know about this ARPANET, and also have discussed regarding OSI reference model along with this TCP/IP, that is Transmission Control Protocol bar Internet Protocol. So in our today's session, we are going to discuss regarding this HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol, and then we have FTP, that is File Transfer Protocol. Next we have SLIP, that is Serial Line Internet Protocol, then PPP, that is Point-to-Point Protocol. Then we are going to learn about what do you mean by internet and what is interspace, and also we will get to know some of the terminology which is related to this network, and also we are going to learn about the types of server, then types of network. So this will be the content of our today's session. We'll get into the first topic, that is HTTP, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So we are all going to use the internet, or we have the network in order to share the data from one computer or one network to another network. So then how can I get to know what should I do in the web page, or it is a collection of web pages, then that will be website. How can I get to know what kind of images I wanted to put there, or how to give the data, how to use the functions, or how to use the videos, audios in a web page? How can I get to know that? Then there must be some standards, there must be some protocol in order to guide us. So that will going to be done with the help of this HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. So this will going to provide a standard for web browser and servers to communicate. So when we get to know its standard, then we can do some of the web pages, or we can make some of the web pages that needs to satisfy the requirement, or that needs to match the standards of this www. That will going to be give to the user or to the developer with the help of this HTTP or a protocol. That will going to give a set of standard, and that will gives you the set of rules that specifies a standards for web browser and server in order to communicate. And also HTTP is an application layer network protocol, so which is built over this top of the TCP. So this HTTP belongs to which layer? That is application layer. That will help us in order to have a standards regarding the web browser as well as with respect to the server. And this HTTP clients, that is web browser and server, communicate via HTTP protocol request and response message. So as we all know that we have clients and we have server. So clients is a one who is approaching, or one who is requesting for the resources, and one who is giving the resources will be considered as server. Then how the clients and server can communicate each other, how they can request, how can they get the response back from the server, that too with the help of this HTTP, that is Hypertext Transfer Protocol. This is regarding HTTP. We'll see the next protocol, that is FTP, that is File Transfer Protocol. So if I wanted to share any file over the internet, or if I wanted to share the file from one network to another network that needs to be shared among the different or multiple user, then which protocol we are going to use? That is FTP. So this FTP, it is a standard internet protocol for transmitting files between computers on the internet. If I wanted to share the files or records from one computer to another computer system over the internet, then it is mandatory to have this FTP. That will going to provide some standards in order to have the communication of the files over the internet between two computers. So that FTP is an application protocol that uses the internet's TCP/IP protocol. This is also rely on the TCP/IP. All the protocol, most of the protocol will going to be relies on this TCP/IP, and it is also commonly used for in order to download the programs or other files to your computer from other servers. So this FTP is also going to allow, it's not only allowing us to share the files from one computer to another computer. Along with that, it will going to allows us to download the documents or files over the internet. This is what FTP, and here we have several advantages. So it is useful for transfer the file from one network to another. So if I wanted to share a file from one network to another network, this FTP protocol will going to help us, and it is an effective for projects. So if I am dealing with a project, then there will be a collection of files. So if I have this FTP protocol, then it will be easy for me in order to download or in order to share any number of files. And also it is popular way to share information on the internet. Mainly we are going to store the data and information in the form of file. That files can be transferred or that can be communicated from one network to another network with the help of this FTP. So next what we have here, SLIP, that is serial line internet protocol. For what purpose we are going to use this? This is considered as the first protocol for relaying the IP packets over dial-up lines. So whatever the data and information that you wanted to share, everything will going to be rely, or it will going to be depends on the IP packets. All the data and information will going to be stored as a package that will going to be sent over the IP address of over this dial-up lines. And also this will going to define the encapsulation, but it is not so easy. It is little easier. So, and this SLIP also has some of the drawbacks. It is there is no support for dynamic address assignment and link testing or multiplexing different protocols over a single link. So these are the drawbacks or disadvantages that we have with respect to this SLIP. So in order to overcome all these disadvantages, we have one more protocol called PPP, that is point-to-point protocol. So it's the standard for transmission of IP packets over a single lines. So this will help us in order to transfer the data and information as a IP packets over a single line. So this PPP is considered as the best solution for dial-up internet connection including ISDN. So mainly it is with respect to landline connection. So in order to have that, you must have this point-to-point protocol. So this PPP is a layered protocol starting with a link control protocol. So initially it was not PPP, it was LCP, that is link control protocol for link establishment and configuration and testing. So it was initially started as a LCP that will going to check for the establishment of a link and also configuration and testing of all those links, whether all the IP packets are sending from source to destination without any changes. That was taken place with the help of this PPP, and this PPP supports both synchronized and unsynchronized lines, mainly with respect to this dial-up lines. So we are going to use this PPP in order to have a transmission of IP packets over a serial line. This is regarding what PPP, and you have to remember all the abbreviation of this PPP or SLIP or even FTP, HTTP, everything is important for 1 mark question. So now we'll see the next topic, that is with respect to internet. Already we got to know the definition of network. So this internet is nothing but network of network. So if it is a collection of computer, so consider if it is a collection of computer, that will be considered as what? Network, or a interconnection of computer is considered as network. So if I have more number of network, then that networking of network will be considered as what? Internet together. So interconnection of autonomous computer is network. If it is a network of network, then that is internet. So that internet is a worldwide network of computer network evolved from the first network ARPANET. Already we got to know that which is the first internet or which is the first medium in order to have a networking, that is ARPANET. So this internet is rely on this ARPANET. This internet is also considered as what? Network of network. So So it is an interconnection of large and small networks around the globe. It is not only restricted to particular area. So we have a network over the globe that will be considered as what? Internet. So mainly for what purpose we are going to use this internet? In order to allow the user to connect to one to network, in order to communicate with others users on the another network. Mainly we are going to use this internet in order to build a communication from user of one network to the user of another network. That is the main usage of having this internet. Next, we'll see one more terminology that is related to interspace. What do you mean by interspace here? It is a client-server software program that allows multiple users to communicate online with real-time audio, video, text chat in dynamic 3D environment, which can be taken as a very best example for this interspace. Already all are familiar with a Zoom meeting and you know about your WhatsApp, Skype. So all these will going to allow this. That means all these application program will going to allow us in order to have a video call, audio along with the text chat. So that too over the internet in a dynamic manner. So all these applications will be considered as what? Interspace. These are the best example with respect to this interspace, and also this provides the most advanced form of communication available on the internet today. So if you consider the olden days, there we were not having any of the video call, or we just only rely on the audio call. So now we can have a video call in the same way. We can go to live, we can have a online streaming. All those will going to comes under this interspace. I hope you understood. We'll move to the next topic. So here we are learning some of the terminology with respect to network. What is the first terminology? That is nodes. It also considered as what? Workstation. So if a computer system is connected to the internet, then that will be considered as what? Workstation. So the term nodes refers to the computer that are attached to a network and are seeking to share the resources of the network. So when the computers are connected to the network and they are able to share the resources over the internet or over the network, then that will be considered as a nodes. So if you don't have nodes or workstation, then there will be no network. So if it is not able to connect it to internet or a network, it is not able to share a data among one or more computer system, then there is no chance of having the network. So that nodes or workstations are nothing but when a computer is connected to the internet and that has the capability to share the data and information on the network. That is nodes. We'll see the next one that is related to server. So already we got to know about the server and client. The client is the one who is requesting the resources. So it can be hard disk, printer or any of the data, information file. That could be anything. Then what about the server? The server is one who is providing a service, one who is responding to the request which is made by the client. So that the server is also computer that will going to facilitate the sharing of data, software and hardware resources that includes printers, modem, etc. on the network. So the server is also a computer, but it will going to have more capability than the normal computer. So it is also considered as a workstation. So this server or a computer will going to allow, or it will going to have some facilities in order to share the data and in order to share the some of the software and hardware resources like printer, modem over the internet or over the network. Then that will be considered as what? Server. And we have two kinds of servers. One is non-dedicated server and another one is dedicated server. I will tell you regarding this non-dedicated and dedicated server. So understand, how can I say some computers as a server? How can I say some computers as a client? So here you consider one of the computer. When it comes to the non-dedicated server, at that time a computer will going to access both workstation as well as the server. So workstation in the sense what? Computer. So this computer will going to connect it to the network. Then what is the use of server? That server help us or to facilitate the sharing of data, information or any of the hardware and software resources over the network. So when both the work is going to be done by a same computer system, then we are going to call that as a non-dedicated server. But what about this dedicated server? if a computer will going to be acts as a workstation and another computer will going to be acts as only server, it is not acting as a workstation or a computer. It is not even acting as a client. It is just working, or it is just facilitating the sharing of data and information, and it is allowing to share the resources like software and hardware. If it is doing that dedicated task, then we are going to consider this computer as a dedicated server. It is just acting as a server. It is not working as a workstation. If a same computer working as both the workstation as well as a server, then we are going to call that as a non-dedicated server. So you can see here on small network, a workstation that can double up as a server is known as non-dedicated server. So it will going to act as, or it will going to taking more burden, like it will act as a workstation as well as the server. Then we are going to call that kinds of small network computers or as non-dedicated server. So it is not completely dedicated to the cause of serving. It is also going to serve the purpose of workstation and also acts as a server. So this kind of non-dedicated server will going to have a facility in order to have the resource sharing among the workstation, and also it will going to act as a server. When it is acting at both the workstation as well as a server, then it will be slow than the dedicated servers, and also it requires more memory space. That is also one of the drawback with respect to this non-dedicated server, because it is taking the overburden of both workstation as well as the server. So if a network is using these kind of server, will be considered as what? Peer-to-peer network. So it will act both, like one computer will going to act as both server as well as workstation, which is connected to the internet of the network. This is non-dedicated. What about the dedicated server? So if you consider the bigger network installation, so at the time a server will going to access only server. That means it will provide the facility as a service. So it will allow us to share the data and information. So if it is acting only as a server, will be considered as dedicated server. So on a bigger network installation, there is a computer which is reserved for servers job. So and its only job is to help workstation in order to access the data, software and hardware resources. So workstation will be used in order to access the data, information or the resources like software and hardware which is resides on a server. This server will going to help the workstation in order to have all these features. So if it is doing only server's job, then that kind of server will be considered as what? Dedicated server. And this is not going to double up the workstation's work, like it is not going to be work like a workstation as well as the server. So then it will be considered as what? Dedicated server. So if it is not taking overburden, then it will be faster than the non-dedicated workstation, and it's also not so required more memory when it comes to the non-dedicated server, when we are going to compare that with non-dedicated server. So if the network using this kind of server will be considered as what? Master-slave network. So why? Because master-slave. So they are just satisfying the requirement of a customer, that is client. So if the server is only acting as a server, then it will be considered as what? Master-slave. If it is acting at both the workstation as well as the server, that is peer-to-peer computers or peer-to-peer networks. So this is regarding server and types of server. We'll see the next topic, that is types of networks. So already we got to know about the networks, right? It is an interconnection or intercollection of computers, that is of autonomous computers. So on what basis we are going to have this type, like how the computers is able, or how the network is able to share the data from one computer system to another computer system with respect to distance. So when we are talking about this geographical area of sharing of the resources from one computer to another computer system over the network, based on that we have three types of networks. So that includes local area networks, in short LANs, wide area network, in short WANs, metropolitan area network, in short MANs. So based on the location or based on the coverage of the geographical area, we are going to have three categories of network. So if a sharing of resources which is taking place within a particular building or within a particular area, then that is local area network. So if it is spreading over the particular city, so then that is metropolitan area network. So if the sharing of resources over the network with respect to globe or spreading of data and information over the globe, then that is what? Wide area network. So we'll see about each type in brief. So what is the first one? Local area network. It is also considered or which is privately owned by small networks, so that are confined to a localized area. For example, you can consider office, building or even house. So you are all going to have an internet connection which is restricted to your house or which is restricted to particular office or a building or a factory. Then that kinds of network will be considered as what? Local area network or LANs. So the main usage of this LAN is to serve its use in resource sharing. So we are going to use all these types of network mainly for the purpose of resource sharing. So when that resource sharing is happening only within the building or only within the house, then that kind of network will be considered as what? LANs. So that we can share hardware as well as the software resources with the help of this LANs. What we have in the next one, that is this LAN configuration consists of. So if I wanted to establish a LAN for my office or for my house or for a particular building or a factory, then what it consists of? It will going to have a file server. So this file server will going to store all of the software that controls the network, and also this software can be shared by the computer which is attached to the network. So we have a file server and also we have a workstation. Already we got to know about the workstation, that is a computer which is connected to the network. So that computers which is connected to the file server, these are less powerful than the file server. Why? Because this file server will going to store all the software which is required for the transaction or which is required for the transmission of data and information over the internet. So this file server will going to have more weightage than this workstation. So when this computer is connected to the file server, then that kind of computers will be considered as what? Workstations. And also we require cables. So it is used to connect to the network interface cards on each computer. So these are the components or these are the things which needs to be required in order to configure the LAN. So that includes file server, workstation as well as the cable. So next we have a second type, that is metropolitan area network. In short, it will be considered as a MAN. So when the sharing of a resource is happening within a particular city, so it is greater than or it is larger than the LAN. So that metropolitan area network is the network which is spread over a city. So this MAN typically covers an area of between 5 to 50 kilometer. So which is the best example for this MAN? That is cable connection. So that the purpose of a MAN is also sharing of a hardware as well as the software resources among its user over the network. So the best example for this MAN is cable TV network. So that are spread over the city and that will going to be termed as metropolitan area network or MAN. So next we have WAN, that is wide area network. So when the network spread across the globe, so which is the geographical area is larger than the city, then we are going to call that kind of network as WAN or wide area network. So the network spreads across the countries are called as WAN. So this wide area network, it is a group of computers that are separated by large distance but tied together. So it is based on a particular distance, but all these tied together in order to make this WAN or a wide area network. But when it comes to the LAN, at that time that will be going to be owned by private organization. But here this WAN is going to be handled or managed by number of private owned companies or organizations. So that largest WAN is existence is the internet. So we are going to consider the internet as a WAN. So that means it spreads across the country, even across the globe. So as I told you earlier, this WAN is what larger than the LAN connection. So that this WAN will going to link computers to facilitate the fast and efficient exchange of information within a few hour time. So that too with the help of this internet. This internet which comes under the category of WAN. So it will going to allow us in order to share the data and resources of a computer from one computer system to another system over the internet, that too globally. So this is regarding wide area network. So now we'll see the difference between this WAN as well as LAN. So as we all know that here we have LAN, here we have WAN, that is local area network and wide area network. So when it comes to the LAN, the abbreviation is local area network, then this is wide area network. So then this LAN is required, or it will going to be allowed or specified only within a few kilometers. But when it comes to the WAN, it will going to be span around, or it will going to span entire country or a globe, and also a total data rate at least several Mbps. So here the speed will be in the terms of Mbps, and it will be in the data rate is less when it compares to the LAN. So this WAN will going to have a less data rate than this LAN. Why? Because LAN is restricted to particular building or a factory. At that time, its diameter of a location will be smaller. So at that time, speed will be more. But this WAN is connected throughout the globe or throughout the country. At that time, its data rate will going to be less when it compares to the LAN, and completely ownership by a single organization. Because if you are having a LAN connection to your house or for a particular building, at that time it will going to be owned by single organization, but here this will be across the globe. So at that time it will going to be run or maintained by or owned by multiple organization, and also very low error rates. So in the LAN the error rate will be low. Why? Because the facility will going to be restricted only for a particular building or a location. At that time the error rate will be less. So even there is error, in order to get to know about that error will be easy. But when it comes to the WAN, the error rate will be more than this LAN. So these are the difference between LAN as well as the WAN. I hope you all understood. Let me meet you in the next session. Until that, keep learning, keep on growing. Thank you.